So for today's practice, you'll probably want to have 2 blocks or something that substitutes for the blocks, and then a strap, even a belt or bathrobe tie will do the trick. Let's just take some time to arrive. Just letting our mind connect with our body where it's currently placed. And just take a moment to put your spine in alignment, which helps us become a little more attentive. The spine is the stem for the brain. So if we have a sluggish spine, we have a sluggish brain. So we start with just sitting up tall and bringing a nice sense of kind of awakeness to the spine. Feel free to use the back if you need it, otherwise sit forward. And then take a moment to put your shoulders in line with your hips. For most of us, we have to make an adjustment there. The shoulders like to curl forward and sit forward. So rotating the shoulders back. Position your skull right above the spine. And again, most of us need to just gently move the head back. Make sure your chin is level with the floor. You can close your eyes and just look down toward your cheeks, which is a good signal to start to kind of connect and pay attention to the parts of your body that are meeting the floor, moving toward the floor. Starting with your shoulders, just drop the shoulders. Drop the jaw, the lower jaw, just release it. Feel the tongue resting at the floor of the mouth. Feeling your hands against your thighs. Your seat connecting to the chair seat. And your feet really connecting with the floor. And then pay attention to any constriction in the abdomen that might be preventing your most optimal breath. Just relax your belly. And just see if you can turn your attention over to the next several breaths. As you're ready, moving your hands together in front of your heart center. On an exhale, bowing toward your heart. Move your hands back down, lift your head, let your eyes gently open, and welcome. So we're going to start with a lot of work. We're going to do a lot of work with the chest opening. So that's the area of the front spine that for most of us is pretty collapsed. We have this kind of rounded upper back. A lot of us do. This is because of lifestyle things and posture and kind of vulnerable, protecting our soft organs of our heart and belly. So we're going to do some work to just kind of bring a little more mobility to the area between the shoulder blades and to get the chest really nice and open. So the end result of a back bending practice is you might have more energy, which is not usually a bad thing. You might have increased mood, which gloomy, weirdly warm day today might be good for you. So just know that this practice, although it might be challenging at times, it has a nice residual effect. And so we're going to start with shoulder dips. And so you're just stepping wide. Your hands can be just comfortably on your knees or thighs. And you're going to be individually taking one shoulder kind of to the center space between your legs. So just, it doesn't matter which side, just pushing, locking out the arm of the shoulder that you're dipping, pushing away on that inner knee or thigh, and just allowing the shoulder to sink. You might feel the lower back talking to you. You might feel your inner thigh a little bit, having some sensation, some elongation. We're just going to stick with the same side here for some deep breaths. So every time you exhale, use it as an opportunity to just kind of yield to gravity. So let the shoulders sink a little lower and envision the area behind your sternum, behind your breastbone, the back body starting to move toward the front body. We can do a lot. We can get pretty far if we just kind of place ourselves in the gravity field in an advantageous way. So that's kind of what we're doing here, is we're letting the area of the dorsal spine, which is what we call the area between the shoulder blades, letting it start to move toward the front body. Just 2 more breaths. Your inhales might be a little more shallow. Your exhales are probably a little bit deeper. Use an inhale and your stomach muscles to bring yourself up. So always support your back when you're coming up from a forward bend or a forward fold with your stomach muscles. Otherwise, we're prone to injury in our backs. Other side. So just kind of getting a nice firm grip on either your knee or your thigh or both. Starting to move the shoulder toward midline. The other arm's kind of passively just bending and folding and accommodating. You're going to push away on that inner knee. You're going to start to feel the lower back, maybe the inner thigh, maybe. Hopefully you're feeling this opening in your chest. If your head drops, you might lose the opening of the chest. So try to keep your eyes forward. That's going to help your shoulder blades kind of plunge in toward the front body. And you're just kind of leaning into your exhalations, letting them just kind of empty to completion. Let's stay with 2 more out breaths here. And after that second one, again, kind of grip your stomach muscles like they're particle board. Inhale yourself up and out of there. And we're going to slide forward a little bit on the chair. We're going to work with shoulder rotation, which is a big piece of back bends. If our shoulders are tight or rounded forward, we can't get much of an opening in the chest. So we're going to sit forward enough that we're able to use our chair legs for handles. And you're going to try to hold so that your palms face forward. So hopefully you have part of your chair you can reach and your palms are facing forward. And as you kind of hook the chair legs with your pinky, maybe your ring fingers, you're going to try to peel the thumbs back. And as a result, you're going to feel or imagine the inner upper arms rotating towards the outer upper arms and the shoulder blades starting to gently move in toward the spine. So a couple things you have to watch when you start to work with opening the chest is that you don't throw your back, your lower back, into a hyperextension. So what that looks like is your belly pushing forward and your lower back overly arched. That's something we don't want. So if you're sensing that, just attach your navel to your spine, like there's a tether, and elongate the lumbar spine. The other thing we have to look for is that we didn't push the head forward. Sometimes that happens. And so make sure your head is still above your spine and that your eyes are soft. You're not bugging out your eyeballs. Just a few more breaths, peeling the thumbs back, turning the flesh of the arms. This is where you might feel some fatigue. Don't let tension accumulate in weird spots in the body, which it can refer to. We can refer tension. Sometimes the jaw starts to clamp or the facial skin hardens. So just be aware of those referred tensions. Last big breath here. And exhale, you can gently release. If your wrists need a release or your forearms, just rotate a little bit so you're not left over with fatigue or discomfort. I always do shorthand with my notes here, and sometimes I'm confused by my own notes, but I think I remember what it is now. So we're going to take our blocks. If you don't have blocks, you can work with your front chair legs or soup cans or books, anything that's kind of equal height. So you have one for each hand and sufficient height. So it has to be tall enough. Like I said, if you don't have that, you can maybe work with your chair legs, although I don't find it as supportive. So you're going to be sitting way back in your chair, so your butt is far back. Your knees are above your ankles, your knees are opened wide, and your heels are right beneath your knees. Okay, toes can be turned out here. You're going to start with your arms kind of upright pillars, meaning your shoulders are in line with your wrists. If you have wrist discomfort, feel free to take a fist to the block so you don't have to work with that tension in your wrists. And so what we're trying to do again is get that chest open. So here's a couple tricks. You can turn your 4 fingers on each hand sideways so they're 45 degrees. Wind your arms so the inner elbow looks forward. That's again manipulating the flesh of the arms, which is a big assist to helping us roll shoulders back and then move shoulder blades in. Okay, so you're supporting an arch in your back. You want to feel like the back body looks like the good side of a spoon, and make sure the neck is consistent with the flow of the spine. So you don't want your eyes looking off to something or hanging the head. Make sure your crown of your head represents that really beautiful arc of your spine. Because we're getting the chest to open, remember that feeling in your lower back we don't want. So bring your belly button toward your spine. We can still keep your chest nice and open without robbing the integrity of the lower spine. So we don't want to throw in a hyperextension here. It's very easy to happen, so I like to repeat that reminder. So attach your belly button to your spine, keep moving your chest forward, winding those arms, couple deep breaths. Remember not to bug out your eyeballs or throw your face forward. You might even close your eyes if it helps you keep yourself in good alignment. And just picture your inner shoulder blades gently turning toward the front body, helping move the chest forward, bringing the sternum into the sunlight. Just a couple more breaths. You're doing great. Good. And again, you're going to use an inhale. Bring your hands to your thighs, grip your stomach muscles, and come up on the in-breath all the way up. Good work. The blocks we can put aside. We are going to make a loop with our strap, and we're going to work with the loop. So if you don't have these are called D rings. If you don't have this kind of a strap, you're just going to either tie a rope if that's what you're working with, or you might have a belt. But what we're looking for is the circumference of the loop is pretty much equal to the circumference of your shoulder girdle. You can eyeball that. If anything, go err on the side of being a little wider than your shoulders. For most of us, we have some shoulder binding, some kind of tension in the shoulders, so we need a little more room. But don't go super wide unless you need that for modification for pain in the shoulders. If you need to go into a kind of a goalpost position, you might need a little bit more of a width. Otherwise, we're going to be working with fully extended arms, meaning no bend in the elbows. So I'll give us a minute to create that. And then you're sitting in the chair with enough of the seat under your butt. You're not right on the edge, but you're not leaning on the back either. Feet right under the knees. And we'll place our hands inside that loop. The palms are going to be facing each other. We're going to take the arms up. And you can be a letter V shape if you need more spaciousness. If your shoulders are bothering here, you can be a goalpost position if you need that. Otherwise, full extension. Try to reach up through the fingernails. And I want you to envision you're lifting all the muscles of your back up. You're lifting your back ribs up, but somehow you're doing that without your shoulders munching on your ears. So somehow keep descending the shoulders, but lift the back body. Don't lift your eyebrows. Don't harden your temples. Those things can happen. The nervous system becomes excited when the arms are up. So you have to temper that with descending temples, soft face, soft eyes, soft jaw. Okay, keep moving both hands slightly farther back. And that doesn't mean you're throwing your back into a hyperextension. Doesn't mean you're pushing your head forward. So it might only move a hair. And that's okay. 3 more breaths. If you're getting tired, that's, sorry to say, a good sign. Good. And now in breath, lift through the fingernails and just release your strap down into your lap for a moment. We are going to go back up in a moment. So just do a couple shoulder rolls, releasing that tension, connecting with your breath. And then right back up we go. Plug the shoulders into the trunk, but then reaching up through the fingernails, lifting the back body. Inhale, come to the top of the breath. Exhale, you're going to tilt your torso to the left, anchor into your right sitting bone so that you don't uproot. And just envision the crown of the head is moving higher and higher. You're lengthening through the crown of the head, and that lengthening begins at your tailbone. Good. Go any amount deeper. Let the momentum of the weight of the torso keep lengthening the right side body. But inhale, up, 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 up. Exhale, relax your arms down. Take a moment to rest and recover. Maybe it's the shoulder rolls. Maybe you're gonna drop the chin to the chest and just bring one ear to one shoulder. Do take care of you, do the needful in your body, which I can't always predict. So just listening inward to what will make you feel at ease here. As you might have guessed, we have a second side to do. And up the arms go when you're ready. Relaxing the face, full extension of the arms, so no quasi-bent elbows, fully straighten the arms, move the arms any amount back. Inhale, top of the breath. Exhale, tilting your torso to the right, elongating the left side body. Anchoring into the left sitting bone. Let the weight of your torso keep dropping gently to the right. Go with that. Good. See a few of you dropping in. That's good. Couple more breaths. You're going to use an inhale to come up. Inhale, 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 lift, lift, lift. And exhale. You can move your hands out of the strap. And a couple shoulder rolls, maybe neck roll. Good. Okay. So strap aside. We're kind of folding in the 6 sections of the spine as we work with back bends here. So we're going to do the twisting / forward bending. So this is where we cross the body and one arm kind of connects with the side of the leg. The other hand is on the back of the chair. So we're going to be moving to our right to begin with. So just go ahead and raise your left arm. Exhale, you're going to turn to the right and drop that left arm alongside the right leg. Doesn't matter where your arm meets your leg. It's different for everybody. With your right hand, grab the center of the back of the chair and just start with a nice upright twist. And remember, we can gain more access to the thoracic spine and dorsal spine if we stabilize the lower spine. So gripping the stomach muscles in, especially between the hip bones, those transverse abdominals. If you stabilize down there, you're going to get more juice out of the twist higher up. And when we don't know this, we tend to yank and pull on the lower back. And a lot of us have lower back stuff because of that. And then we have a very stuck upper spine. So we're just equalizing. Yoga is always about restoring balance in the body. So with the next exhale, come into your deepest twist. Exhale, exhale, exhale. You're going to drop the arm or slide the arm down the side of the leg. So now you're in a forward bend with the twist. You might step your right hand closer to the left side of the chair. It's up to you if that feels like something that gives you more space and room to turn. Have the crown of the head be consistent with the tailbone, so it's not doing its own thing. It's a clean pathway from the tailbone out through the top of your head. And see if any amount more you can press the arm into the leg and get the left armpit chest area, those side ribs, out of the shadows, out of that stuck, congested, trapped place, into the sunlight, around to the front body. 2 more breaths. And after the next exhale, engage your stomach muscles. Inhale to center to a child's pose that you can sustain for a few breaths. So either resting arms on thighs, bowing the head, or dangling the arms, connecting your chest and thighs directly. Dangle the head there as well. And then you're going to start to come up on the in-breath, engaging the stomach muscles, come all the way up. We'll prepare for side 2. So we'll begin just raising the right arm. Exhale, you're going to take the hand or the arm onto the side of the leg. With your free hand, grab the back of the chair right in the middle. And let's spend 5 breaths finding a nice deep twist. And after the exhale that comes next, take another breath in, and then you'll exhale and just start to slide the arm down the side of the leg. There'll be a stopping point in your body. You might move the left hand farther to the right if you want to go deeper. And then you're just working on really getting as much of that front body to face left as you can. Every time you breathe in, pulling out through the top of the head like you have a bun on the top of your head and someone's gently grabbing it and pulling. Every time you exhale, bring those right side ribs around out of the shadows. Soften your face and your eyes and your jaw. Maybe even lightly smile. If you can't smile, that's a clue that you're in too deep. It's the smile test. One more good, emptied out exhalation. And then inhale. Start to bring yourself all the way up and around. Good. Child's pose. Just to kind of cleanse the palate. Sit forward, either version. All right, so bring yourself up. The next thing we're going to do is, it's a little bit iffy because we all have different kind of chairs, but I'm assuming most of us have pretty standard chairs. Nobody has like the king chair with the back of it being 10 feet high. We're going to try to use the back of it as dorsal spine support. So you might have to kind of play with where you're sitting on the chair because you're going to lean back. And what you're attempting to do is get the back of your, the upper part of the back of the chair to hit you across the shoulder blade region. In other words, right behind the sternum. So just kind of play with that. Try to sit back and use that top back of the chair for support. Then you're going to take your hands to the back of the head in a clasp. And then bring the elbows slightly farther back, which as we know helps the shoulder blades move in. If your belly is pushing forward, which we know it likes to do, bring that tether from your navel back to your spine. So you're elongating the lumbar spine. Take your eyes up because the torso is at an angle now. So eyes look up without any sort of distortion. So you need your eyes to kind of match what your torso is doing. So looking at the ceiling, you might like to stretch your legs out. You don't have to, it's kind of personal preference, but keep taking the tailbone into the body. Keep inviting the chest to become more open. Gently continue to press your elbows back and maybe sense or imagine the shoulder blades turning in toward the chest. Let your head be heavy in your hands. Don't baby the weight of the head. Really fully support that heavy head. It will help your neck if you even press the head more actively into the hands. And take that stretch that's occurring. It's an opportunity. You might not feel it yet, but it's there. If you can find it across your chest, we all have very bound lateral chest muscles, which keep those shoulders curling in. We want to undo that. This chair across your back is going to help you. Let's take 3 more breaths here. Spreading across the chest, like butter melting from the sternum to the sides of the chest, the armpit region. Especially in the winter months, we get very curled up into our front bodies. So coming out of it, gently, gently, gently. And this is one you can do anytime, as long as you have a chair. Go ahead and sit forward, sit upright. Now we're going to take a seated camel pose. Camel pose is one of my favorite poses. Usually it's done kneeling, which we're going to do just sitting in a chair version. So you will need to sit forward because we need the seat of the chair behind the buttocks for hand support. So you need enough chair that you can not go anywhere. You're sitting on your chair, but you have room for your hands. And I'm going to have you put your hands down like they're little tents. So you're on your fingertips and your palms face forward, which, as we know, we did this earlier in a different way, turns the flesh of the inner upper arms out, and it helps the shoulders move back, and it helps the chest to lift and spread. So be aware of the elbows. They like to be wide here. I want you to clamp your elbows in so they're kind of hidden behind. You can't see them on your screen. That's one good thing about Zoom yoga is we have these mirrors we don't usually have in yoga class. So clamp the elbows together. That's going to broaden your shoulder girdle. Put some weight into your fingertips. Take the tailbone into the front body. So don't let it fly back, which it might be trying to do. Navel to spine, create that tether. Start to lift your chest toward the ceiling. So the head coming back is the very last icing on the cake. So don't throw your head back. And in a moment, we're going to come out of it and we'll show you kind of what you want to feel in the neck. But keep opening up the chest, keep track of the navel moving into the spine, keep elongating the lumbar spine by shifting the tailbone into the body. Soften your eyes like they're resting on little pillows at the back of your head. Inhale and come up. Okay, so if your hands felt a little bit like too high, you can try grabbing a different part of the chair behind you. You might grab the edge of the seat of the chair. You might even grab the legs of the chair. So you want to have the hands going low. If you feel like your elbows were up in the air and your arms were super bent, feel free to adjust the hand position. But before we do our second attempt, make an L shape with your dominant hand, index and thumb. Put the thumb on the sternum, put the index under your chin. This is the exact distance we want to maintain when we come into that arch. And so the reason being is we're very good at slipping out of deep movement in the body. So we're very good at throwing the head back and saying, oh, look at my pose, it's so good. When only you just threw your head back, you didn't mobilize the thoracic or the dorsal spine. Okay, so as you take the next deep one, you're not going to have this hand position, but you're going to remember kind of the distance that you feel and the difference of what it feels like to drop the head back. So you're going to try to maintain this distance without this actual reference of touch, okay? So we'll do second attempt. Maybe the hand position is going to be just what you did before. Maybe you're going a little lower with the hands or something that works better in your body, but try to have the palms facing forward no matter what you're doing. So you have that good rotation on your arms. Okay, come to an in-breath. Good. And now start to lift the chest, rotate the arms, rotate the shoulders. That's going to help you move the shoulder blades in. Okay, remember that perfect distance of your chin from your chest. We're not letting the head do its thing and throw back. We're going to keep lifting the dorsal spine. You're going to keep track of the navel, staying tethered to the spine so we don't also deceive ourselves that we're deep because we have this giant sway back, pooching belly thing going on. And your eyes are not rolling up in the head. You're looking up, but you're not rolling the eyes back in the head. Okay, so just a few more breaths. Relax your jaw. Connect the navel, lengthen the lumbar. Shoulder blades in, arms winding front to back. Last big inhale. And then the next time you breathe in, lift yourself up and out of it. That's camel pose, Ustrasana. If you did the propping on your fingertips, you might need to paint your name in the sky with 2 paintbrushes and release your wrists. Okay, you with me? We're still good? Okay, we're gonna keep moving along here. We're gonna do seated crescent pose without the strap and with the hands together. So we kind of did this earlier. We did side to side. We're going to do the back bending crescent, which means we're going backwards. If you need adjusted arms, you don't have to seal the hands together. So the reason you'll know if you need to adjust your arms from this classical hands sealing together overhead position is either the elbows are bent and you just physically can't do it, or there's pain. Both are good reasons to either do a parallel arm or even a letter V or even the goalpost position. So you have to kind of choose your own adventure there. So let's assume we're going to find our own way here. Take the arms up. You might press your hands together as long as those elbows straighten. Otherwise, parallel arms. Inhale, come to the top of the in-breath. Exhale, take the fingertips any amount back, lifting the area. Remember the back of the chair was pressing there. So see if you can remember that place in your body. And with your own efforts, move it into the front body. Keep the navel tied to the spine. Keep moving the tailbone into the front body. Keep your eyeballs soft, your temples descending, your jaw is unlocked. And then inhale, come up. And exhale, resting, arms on your thighs, bow your head. So we will do that one standing. Okay. So we're going to come up now and check it out standing. Okay. So you can find your way up. Adjust my little view here. You don't need the chair. So we want to put our feet in a nice generous spacing. So put your toes in front of your heels and have your heels be hip distance or even just a little bit wider than hip distance. And then I'm going to have you, this sounds weird, but I'm going to have you grab your pant legs, kind of right under the buttock, wherever your hand hits kind of naturally. You don't have to reach lower than that. So grab your pant legs, and ideally you grab your pant legs closer to the inner thighs, but for some of us, the shoulders don't allow that. So be on your pant legs, underneath your buttocks, and closer to the inner thighs if possible. Put your shoulders back. So lift the shoulders, roll them back, move the shoulder blades in toward the chest. And you're going to pull on the pant legs, not only pull back, but just kind of like you're rotating your inner thighs to spread apart. So it's kind of a pulling out and back. Hope that makes sense. Big inhale, exhale, lengthen back just slightly. This is standing crescent pose. So it really, you're going to notice you can only go as far as the integrity of what you've already set up will allow. So you shouldn't be suffering. Tailbone's moving in. The belly button moves back toward the spine. You're lifting with the chest. Your chin is only so far from your chest. Your eyes aren't rolling up in your head. Your jaw is not locked. Your face isn't hardened. Inhale and come up. Release your arms. Shake out your fingers. So the reason we did that is because when we go back, our inner thighs tend to go forward and out, which is just complete mess. It's not what we want. So we have to keep track of when we go back, the inner thighs go back, they roll back, and it keeps the lumbar spacious, keeps the sacral band spacious, keeps the pose in alignment. So that's kind of why we do that little manual one, so we can feel the rotation of the thighs that we're trying to go for. We're going to do another version of crescent pose, hands on the hips. So make sure your feet are still where we want them. They're still toes in front of heels and a little bit wider than hips or hip distance. So again, tuck your elbows, squeeze them in so that you don't see them anymore. They're only as wide as your shoulder girdle. And now we have this nice assist of our thumbs. Remember we talked about the exaggerated curvature in the lumbar spine? So to correct that, take your thumbs and just push in on the lower back and manually tip the pelvis back. You're going to feel that pelvic bowl tip back. Okay, hopefully. Push in there, and hopefully you feel lengthening lumbar, tailbone moving in, pelvis tipping back. Okay, so keep this position, keep your elbows clamping, shoulders broad. Inhale, exhale, you're going to go into your second version of crescent. Remember the inner thighs roll back, don't let them fly forward. That's going to distort you and make the pose uncomfortable. Okay, don't let your head throw back. Make sure your index and thumb would fit where we want it to fit. Soften the buttocks. Buttocks are going to spread because of those inner thighs. So let the buttocks spread, melting like butter. Good. Inhale, come up. Good work. Releasing, again, you might need to release wrists from that hands on hip position. Okay, so last but not least is crescent with the arms up like we did seated. But I want to tell you, if you're doing this in your yoga space that doesn't have wall access right now, that's fine. But just for future reference, just play with using a wall once in a while, because it's a great support. When your hands hit it, you can keep the hands kind of supported by that wall, and you can really refine the pose. So even if you don't have that option now, I suggest you try it at some point, just stepping a foot away from the wall, taking your arms up, moving the index fingers to the wall, and then building the pose from there. It's a really nice way to feel the pose. But we're going to assume we don't all have wall space. We're going to do it freestanding. So same feet, same stance. Arms go up. Remember, you pick what position. So if the hands meeting doesn't work because of bent elbows or pain, go to letter V, go to parallel, go to goalpost. You have options. Okay? Come to the top of the in-breath. Exhale, lengthening back. Let this be all about your dorsal spine. That is the primary part of the spine that's moving, not the lumbar spine, not the cervical spine. I think I've made that clear at this point. Okay, so keeping track of the inner thighs, rolling back, spreading out, soft buttocks, soft eyeballs, tailbone moving in, tethering navel to spine. 2 more breaths. Nobody cares how deep your crescent is. It's just about integrity. Inhale, come up, 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 up. And exhale, release your arms. Good. Mountain pose. Let's take a rest in our standing mountain pose. You can keep the feet where they are. You might join them if you are able to hold the balance there. Shoulders in line with hips. If you've placed the shoulders well, your thumbs, if they were touching the sides of your hips, are right in line with the hip bones. Tailbone moves in, drop the shoulders. Plant the feet evenly and softly. Maybe close the eyes if you can support the balance. Otherwise, just soften your gaze. So we have to be here with some effort, but we're turning that dial down as far as we can to a simmer so that we stay here, but we're very quiet inside. Very much conserving our efforts. And alignment does truly show up as ease in the body. So it's one of the reasons we don't use mirrors in yoga, is because we don't look out for what is right. We look in. Good. So blink your eyes open. We're going to really nail this dorsal spine opening with our warrior 1 pose. You shouldn't need a chair, but sometimes psychologically just having it there can be nice. So we're going to just put the back of the chair to face us in the pose. The right foot's going to step kind of closer to under the chair. The left foot will step back. And feel free to use the back of the chair as you kind of just stabilize as you arrange your feet and your legs. So remember, we don't want to be on the same line on our mat. We need to be width of the hips, wide with the feet, even though one foot is in front of the hip and one's behind it. You still have the width of the hips maintained. Your back foot has a little bit of turnout to the left. Your right foot is pointing directly forward, and the right knee goes into a bend. Okay, so as long as we have the chair here, we might as well use it. Just touch the chair and you can really sink a little deeper into your legs when you have the support of the hands. And then maintain that. And if you really need the chair, you'll just take one arm up. If you can lose both arms from the chair, you're going to take both arms up. Put your hands in that, whatever position you use for crescent pose. So locking the palms together or separating the hands shoulder width or opening wider. But lift your dorsal spine here, move your navel in, move your tailbone toward the front body. Don't throw your head back, soften your eyes, push those shoulder blades toward the chest. Deep breathing. And then inhale, straighten your front leg, hands to the chair. Find a way to switch out your feet. Okay, this is warrior one. It is a back bending pose. So left foot should be closer to the left chair leg. Right foot is more in line with right chair leg. Right toes are slightly turned out. You're trying to get your hips on the same frontal plane. So make sure you're rotating right hip forward, left hip back to compensate for the asymmetry. Bend the left knee. Tailbone moves in. Navel connects with spine. Arms go up or one arm. And then lifting behind the sternum, bringing the support of the back body to the front body. Keep bringing the belly button toward the spine, the tailbone toward the front body. Don't throw the head back. And then on an in-breath, pushing into the floor through the left leg to straighten. And then finding support to step your feet together. Good. Just turn around for a moment and step a little bit farther from the chair. So you have to reach back to touch the chair. And notice how as you reach back, it's putting those distortions in our body. The head pushes forward, the tailbone flies back. So bring your head over your spine, bring your tailbone toward the front body, and then keeping your shoulders where they are. Let go of the chair, let the hands arrive wherever they do. And you have perfected a mountain pose. Close your eyes, couple breaths. Good. And open your eyes. We're so close. We've done a lot and we're just a little bit more with the action, and then we'll get into a more settled few postures before we finish out here. But we're going to do our standing forward bend Parsvottanasana, but just a half version with your wrists resting on the back of the chair. So you'll again be working with the right foot forward, left foot stepping back. It's the same legs that you just used for your warrior one, except both legs are straight now. You're going to be resting the wrists on the chair, and if that's uncomfortable, you can grab, but what I am trying to prevent is if you grab, for most of us, our shoulders roll in. So if you are able to rest with palms facing, that's ideal. If you're grabbing, maybe grab the sides of the chair back so that you can keep somewhat of a palms facing position, somewhat of a shoulder opening position. And so what we're really just trying to do here is drop the shoulder blades in toward the chest. Okay, so every time you exhale, there's that opportunity to go with gravity, to let the shoulder blades move in. Try to relax the feet. The relationship your feet are making with the floor is really influential. The entire body listens to what the feet are doing. If your feet are clinging and gripping to the floor, the entire body is going to have the same attitude of gripping, clinging, contracting. So the feet need to be soft, lots of surface area. They need to be balanced. Remember, don't drop the head, look forward to keep the shoulder blades moving in. And to come out of it, I'm going to let you kind of intuitively do that, because sometimes that's better than me telling you how to get out, and then it's not ideal for you. So once you are free and clear, you'll set up left side, left foot forward, right foot back. We're attempting to get our torso pretty much level with the floor if it's available to you, otherwise as close to that position as you can be. Remember the idea, when we extend through the fingernails, the shoulders don't go in that direction. The shoulders move toward the hips. This is one of the reasons our shoulders tend to bother us a lot, is because we are confusing to them. We tell them we aren't clear with where they're going, what they're doing. Suck the shoulder blades toward the hips, keep reaching through your fingernails, And every exhale, take those shoulder blades in. Just let them melt toward your front body. Keep looking forward. Good. Now use your stomach muscles. Use an inhale. Safely find your way back up. Wonderful job. Okay. Chair is off to our right. So this is going to be my version of what I call, this isn't wall clock, so never mind. I don't have a name for this. You have two poses that I like to do at the wall. One of them is called wall clock, which we're not doing. This is slightly different. So bring your hand out alongside from the hip, arm is angled out, you're touching the chair. What you're going to do is just start to pivot away from the chair as much as you can. And you're trying to let your inner upper arm rotate towards the outer upper arm. So that kind of area near the armpit, we want it to turn toward the outside of the shoulder and towards the back kind of armpit crease. Yep, so you guys look good. So remember what the body does when we open shoulders and chest. You might have that sway back, pooching belly thing. So navel to the spine, tailbone curls in toward the front body into the soft tissue of the body. The skull is above the spine. Keeping your palm facing forward. Tilting the thumb back, the pinky forward, just to exaggerate that a little bit. And then on an in-breath, lengthen, so just be really spacious in the torso and start to pivot back toward the chair. You're releasing it. We're going to do the same thing, other side. So you might move the chair, so it's off to your left. And you'll start with the chair completely adjacent from the left side body. And then just start to pivot your feet. Maintain hip distance with the feet and also make sure you're far enough from the chair, the arm is straight. Forgot to say that on the first side. And then if you feel like you've gone into kind of that distortion, make those wise action corrections. So tailbone in, skull above the spine, tilting the thumb back, the pinky forward, navel connects toward the spine. Eyes are soft. No bulging eyeballs. And then inhale, lengthen through the crown of the head. Start to pivot back and out of the shoulder opener. Wonderful. All right, so we're going to sit. Okay, so sometimes when we work with the shoulders, we all know the body, the knee bone's connected to the thigh bone, the song, we know that. Other things in the body show up. So we're going to do a couple movements with the arms for increased mobility, the wrists, the arms. So just start to interlock your hands. We all have a familiar interlock that we do. I just confused myself. Sorry. Extend your arms. Palms down. Take your left wrist over your right wrist. Yep. And then let the palms face. Good. And then interlock. Okay. So it's weird enough already, right? So you're going to bend your elbows to bring your hands under your chin. And the fun hasn't even started yet. So keep your chest forward. Your chest will try to contract back here. Shoulders back, chest forward. Start with that. Navel in. Now slowly begin to extend your arms. And you might now realize how much tension you have in your wrists and forearms, which can be quite shocking. So stay with wherever that edge is, where you can't go any farther, but you're definitely not in pain, you're not suffering or tortured, but there's a dial turn up of sensation. You're breathing with that 5 breaths. Feel free to do some open mouth exhales. So the reason we're doing this, and I don't think I have time today, but we will do some work with the hand positions behind the back, which require more mobility in the wrists and then in the forearms. So we have to start addressing the tensions that are there before we can go into that work. So you're going to undo now, bring your hands back toward your sternum and then out from under you. And you're going to switch the top crossing wrist now, your right wrist. Palms face, pinkies on top, interlock your fingers here. Go into the finger webbing. So one way we can cheat is we slip the fingers apart. Be tight into the finger webbing. You can't go any farther. That's your good interlock. Tucking the hands under the chin. And remember, sternum forward, shoulders back. Then the fun happens when you start to extend the arms forward. There's that big doozy of a stretch. Don't overdo it to the point where you're gripping, white knuckling, waiting for it to end. Be right in front of that moment and breathe. Two more breaths. Now start to move your hands back toward your chin. Start to extend the arms out in front of you again. And now take your fingertips, palms facing me. Yep. And just lightly try to bring more of the surface area of the fingers and the palms down. So you're opening the front wrists. Okay, lift the inner upper arms toward the ceiling. Roll the outer upper arms down. Keep your chest lifted. Drop your shoulders. Pull your head back. Navel in, tailbone forward. Good. All right. Relaxing your hands. So the last thing we're going to do actively before we take a final resting pose is the eagle arms. So eagle arms is really going to challenge you to keep your chest open because we're going to have the arms now in front of us, which naturally pulls the shoulders forward and collapses the chest back. So you're going to have to bring everything you kind of worked on today to the fore and employ it and try to do your best to keep your chest spread. And it's actually a great pose for the upper back to open. So we want to feel not only is the chest open, but somehow we have the upper back open as well. So platter on your arms like you're holding a big platter. Stack your right elbow over your left elbow. For some of us, we grab the shoulders and just float the elbows up here, and that's the pose. And for others, we bring the left fingers onto the right palm here. And so you have to kind of pick what's going to work in your body. Okay, be perched on your sitting bones, navel in, tailbone in, shoulders back, chest forward. Don't let the opposite happen, even though it really wants to here. And then every time you breathe in, there's that broadening, lateral opening across the upper back, even breath sweeping up underneath shoulder blades. And I find it helpful to close my eyes because there's that tendency for the head to pull forward, the eyes to bulge out. So make sure your head is still above your spine, your chin is level with the floor. If you're closing eyes, you can even just relax the gaze down toward the cheeks. So a lot of this is about the expansion, which is our term for horizontal spaciousness, across the chest and across the upper back. Every time you breathe in, you can attempt to lift your elbows slightly higher. Next time you inhale, take the elbows up, and then you're going to exhale and dip the elbows down. Sit back on your chair. You're not losing the arms yet. Sit back on the chair, widen the knees, and then fold forward with your eagle arms. Yep. A few more breaths here. And then releasing your arms, pressing your hands to your thighs, engaging the core. Inhale, come up, stack it up. Second side. Okay, platter on your arms, left above right now. Either grabbing shoulders or connecting right fingers to left palm. And then refining the pose wise actions, tethering the navel, tipping the pelvis back, tailbone moves in, shoulders back, sternum forward, skull above the spine, soft gaze. Every in-breath, elbows floating higher, slightly higher. There is some tension that's really buried in and around the shoulder blades. Bring the breath, like it's sweeping into an alley, a dark corner of an alley where all the stuff accumulates, and just let your breath break up that tension. Okay, is your chest still grinning, or is it concave and collapsed? Take the last breaths to move the dorsal spine in. And then you're going to keep that. You're going to widen your feet. Make sure you have enough chair underneath your butt. You might have to sit back. Come to the top of an inhale, float the elbows up, exhale, bow toward the floor. And then untangle your arms. Climb back up. Okay. And before we get into our final resting pose, let's just do a little bit of a kriya. So just a little bit of a circulation over the sitting bones. You can cup your thighs or your knees or both. And you're just kind of doing a pattern over the circumference of the sitting bones. It's a rotating, oscillating, gentle pattern. And then find a place to change direction. Just gently circling around. Nice fluid movement here. Come back to center. Take care of anything else that needs to move. And when you're ready, you'll sit back and we'll just spend the last minute or two just integrating the physical work that we just did. Letting it really permeate lots of wisdom into the mind and heart. So try to fully surrender as much as you can when you're seated in a chair. No extra effort. Start with the face. We all hold a lot of tension around the sense organs on the face. So be specifically attuned to releasing tension around the eyes, the mouth, inside the mouth, the tongue. Smooth out the brow line. Just like we began, relax the abdomen. Notice how the breath automatically fills in and empties. One of the markers of a successful practice is a more sustained state of presence. Another one is gratitude. I'm just taking the final moments here to really just absorb whatever is happening to you in the here and now, inside, outside. To allow and accept it. And then just lightly relax the mouth enough that you can just pick up the corners of the mouth, creating just a very soft smile. And letting the feeling of a thank you resonate in the heart. Let's take a deep breath in. Just let it fully empty. Without jarring yourself too much, sit forward and join the hands in front of the heart. Let's take another breath in through the nose and let it go. From the place within me that I know to be divine, I honor that place within each of you. Namaste. Great. Well, thank you so much for being here. We'll just keep going through January, so I hope to see you again soon, and reach out with anything if you ever need. And take care. Enjoy this weirdly warm day.